Posted by you/thrower marzipan. I, 31F, have been best friends with Becca, 32F, since 2010. We were college roommates, and after we graduated, we still lived together, that is, until I moved in with my boyfriend Nate, 34M, in 2019. One thing about Becca is that she has always had a drinking problem for as long as I have known her. She has done things while drunk that have sometimes caused problems in our friendship. She does try to stay sober, but every few years, something happens to make her start drinking again, which is what happened earlier this summer. Last Saturday, Becca called me because she was drunk somewhere and needed a ride home. I couldn't go pick her up because I had the flu and was on cold medicine, so Nate went to get her instead. A couple of days later, I started noticing that Nate was acting weird with his phone. Normally, he leaves it out on the coffee table if we're watching TV or whatever, but he started putting it face down so I couldn't see what notifications he was getting. My first thought was that he was trying to plan a surprise, and because of the timing, I thought that maybe Becca was helping him. Yesterday, I saw Becca and told her that Nate was being sneaky all of a sudden. I asked if he had said anything about possibly proposing soon. She asked me if I had looked through his phone, and I said no. Becca then started crying and told me that she and Nate had hooked up in his car the night he came to pick her up. Her excuse was that she was really drunk and didn't fully know what she was doing. She said she had been texting him since, telling him that he needed to tell me what happened or she was going to. I asked Becca to show me the texts, but they were all in the app Signal, which deletes messages after a day. As a result, all I could see was that she and Nate had a chat thread, but none of their messages. I told her to text Nate in front of me so I could see his response. She did, but we got no read receipt and no response at all, so it didn't prove anything. I asked Becca if she was sure she wasn't so drunk that she might have imagined it or thought a dream was real. She absolutely lost her temper and said that while she knows she's horrible when she drinks, she's not delusional and doesn't make things up. She said I could believe her or not, but she was telling me the truth. I told her I needed to go home and talk to Nate. When I got home, I confronted Nate with what Becca had said. He acted shocked, denied that anything like that had happened, and said he didn't know why she would think or say so. He explained that he had just given Becca a ride home and that the only thing they talked about was how he and I had been together for a long time and should get married already. He admitted they were talking on Signal for the next couple of days, but he said it was about exactly what I thought. He was asking her about engagement rings and what kind of proposal I would want. Nate replied to Becca's message from before, asking her if she made up a story about them hooking up to avoid ruining the surprise about his proposal. She texted him back, saying there was no proposal and to stop playing dumb. Nate then called her, pretending I wasn't in the room, and told her she needed to stop whatever she was trying to do because we were on the verge of breaking up, and he'd rather just have the surprise be ruined. Becca kept telling Nate to stop lying until he got angry and hung up on her. I really didn't know what to think, and I still don't. Right now, Nate is really upset and not talking to me much. He says it's bad enough that Becca acted insane and ruined his plan to propose, but it's even worse that I believed her lies even a little and would think that he would ever cheat on me. Becca texted me saying she was sorry, but otherwise, I haven't talked to her either. I don't want to think that Nate would cheat on me or that he'd take advantage of Becca if she was that drunk, but I feel like I can't be 100% sure. I've known Becca for 13 years, and I can't believe that she'd lie to me about something this important. I know she has a drinking problem, so I can believe that she'd sleep with my boyfriend if she was drunk out of her head. She's done some pretty awful things in the past when she's been drunk. I don't want to wrongly accuse Nate of something he didn't do, but I don't want to be an idiot either. Update 2 days later. On Thursday night, after I got everyone's advice, I told Nate that I had found a way to recover deleted messages from Signal. He immediately took out his phone, opened the app, and asked me to show him how to do it. This made me think he was telling the truth because he didn't panic or hesitate at all. This was reassuring, especially since, when I tried to download Signal on my old phone, it turned out to be too old to support the current version of the app, so it wouldn't work. Nate then asked me if we were going to have to buy a new phone for me to believe that he was telling the truth, and he said he was willing to do it if that's what it would take. I told Nate it wasn't that I didn't believe him, I just wanted some proof because I couldn't understand why Becca would lie about it. Nate said she would lie because she's a freaking crazy drunk BTCH and there's no way for a non-crazy person to understand why she would do anything. He added that once the messages prove his innocence, he never wanted me to talk to her again. Then he told me to get up because if we were going to the Verizon store, we had to get there before it closed. By then, I completely believed Nate anyway, so I told him we didn't have to go anywhere or get a new phone. I said that I believed him and knew he didn't cheat on me and that he would never do that. Nate said he hoped I knew that and didn't understand why I didn't take his word for it in the first place. I started trying to explain why I didn't want to immediately dismiss what Becca had said, but Nate said he really couldn't listen to that right now. I said that was fair and agreed to cut Becca off, but first I wanted to try to get her to admit that nothing happened. Nate said fine, but to call her with my phone on speaker because he thought he also deserved to hear her admit she was lying. So, I called Becca and told her the same thing I had told Nate, that I figured out how to recover deleted messages on Signal. She asked why I would need to do that, And that was when I knew for sure that she was definitely making it up and not just confused somehow. I said it was because I wanted to have proof of what she and Nate talked about. Becca asked if I had seen their messages, so I lied and said yes. After that, Becca went silent until I finally asked her if she was going to say anything. Then she asked if that meant we were engaged now. So then I really just lost it on her and screamed, asking if she was serious, what was wrong with her, and how that could possibly be all she had to say. Becca started screaming back, telling me to calm down and saying that obviously I never believed her anyway because we hadn't broken up over it. I was crying by that point and couldn't really say anything else, so Nate told Becca to go screw herself and to never contact either of us ever again, then he hung up on her. A minute later, Becca sent me a completely unhinged text that I'm quoting here verbatim. "Courtney, you are supposed to be my friend for life. You are supposed to be there for me. You are supposed to be my person. But then you meet Nate, and now you only care about Nate. Everything is about Nate. Tell me why Nate comes to pick me up when I call you. I called you, not your precious effing Nate. I only want you to see how effed up this is, but do you? No, of course you effing don't. Of course, you choose Nate over me like you always do and like you always will. You pretend to care about me, but I can see you don't care. It is pathetic, Courtney. You are a pathetic woman who would choose a man over a friend. But since you can't say it yourself, I will. Since you have to have your sweet perfect little baby Nate do it for you, I will. Goodbye, Courtney. Is that what you want? Goodbye forever, I hope you effing got what you effing want." There were 3 dots showing she was still typing more, but I blocked her before she could send it. I don't care about anything else she has to say. I'm sure it's all just going to be more BS about why this is my fault or justifications about why what she did wasn't that bad and I should forgive her. I know Nate is probably right and there's no non-crazy logic behind why Becca would stoop to doing something like this, but I've still been thinking about it. My best guess is that whoever said Becca still blames me and Nate, apparently mostly Nate, for her being a drunk mess who can't get her life together is right. It seems like she somehow thought that if she said she hooked up with Nate, I'd break up with him but still want to be friends with her and then everything would magically be fixed. As far as things with Nate, I asked him if he thought he could ever forgive me for doubting him. He said that since I came to my senses and cut Becca off, he guesses we can try to put it behind us. I don't think he's still going to propose anytime soon. After this, I probably wouldn't if I were him. From what Nate said, he didn't actually do any planning yet other than asking Becca about rings and whether I'd think a public proposal was tacky. All he was doing so far was trying to get ideas without me knowing he was talking to her about it. Based on that, I think it's not going to happen for a while, if at all. Also, thanks to everyone for the advice and support. I know I didn't respond to many comments, but I really did appreciate everyone who cared enough to want to help. Update to 11.5 months later. I haven't logged into this account for about a year, but I got a few messages asking for an update, so here it is. I'll keep it as short as I can. Unfortunately, I have nothing good to report. It turned out that whatever was going on with Becca that caused her to make false accusations about Nate was the beginning of some kind of psychotic break. After I blocked her, she made a whole bunch of fake accounts and started sending me completely unhinged messages about how I ruined her life and threatened to get revenge on me and Nate. This went on for months, with her sending me dozens of messages a day. I found out from other friends that she was making multiple posts on Facebook every day, which were semi-coherent rants about how much she hated me, how I was evil, and how I had ruined her life intentionally. I tried to talk to the police 2 different times to get a restraining order because I was afraid that Becca was going to show up at our apartment and attack me or Nate. I even got a front door camera because I was so scared that she was going to hurt us. The police said that because Becca wasn't threatening actual violence, she was just a nuisance and they couldn't do anything. They acted like I was overreacting, saying it isn't illegal to talk crap on Facebook. They basically told me to just keep blocking her whenever she made a new account and that eventually, she'd get bored and move on. Then finally there was an incident where someone broke the windshield of Nate's car while it was parked at his work. It could have just been a random act of vandalism because his wasn't the only car that had windows broken, but at the time, I was 100% sure it was Becca. So, I went to the police again. Eventually, an officer went to talk to Becca, and she denied touching Nate's car. I had no proof that she did. However, after the police talked to her, Becca was put into a psych ward for a week because her apartment was filthy, she was drunk out of her mind 24/7, and she was deemed a danger to herself. I have not heard anything from Becca since she left the psych ward. I don't know if she was diagnosed with something or if she's medicated now. I found out that she moved in with her dad, who thankfully lives in a different state. I check her social media occasionally to make sure she's not posting about me and that she's not around me. I haven't mentioned Nate much in this update because we're no longer together. He broke up with me after the windshield incident because he couldn't handle being constantly harassed by Becca, and to be honest, I don't think he ever forgave me for not taking his side immediately when everything started. It really hurt, but I can't blame him. I tried to talk to him about fixing things between us after Becca was gone, but he just wasn't interested.